my computer audio stopped working. That's why I had to take my iPad and get my session done.
Right, okay. You are ready now?
Yeah, we are, yeah.
Right, okay. Any questions you have, Veena, before we move into another mock?
Not as such, no.
Basically, I think what you need to now between today and tomorrow, just try to go to the pre-scene. Try to get as much as possible from the pre-scene. So the idea is when you come to the paper, you don't need to go all. I mean, you can go to the pre-scene, but at least if you know where it is in the pre-scene, that will help you with the timing.
Yeah.
And always try to keep the timing. I think from my experience, what I found, always the successful students, they are the people who read the question very well, who understood what is really wanted by the examiner.
Okay.
This is the most important thing, are trying to figure out what this task is going to be, what they want it. So if you can, that is the key success factor which I have said all the time. Sometimes we go on writing without realizing that it is not what the examiner is asking. So try to pick up on that one as quickly as possible. So for that, spend time reading the question, because ultimately every task what is required should be covered up. That's also very important. Every task that is required must be covered up. If you don't cover up enough, that may be not good enough.
Sure. Yeah.
So these are the few tips that what we needed. Use common sense as much as possible. Don't try to be too much theory. Try to make it, all the time thinking, yes, what is this people asking me? And if I was working in this company, what will I suggest, kind of a thing. But always you have to remember that you're working inside the company, number one. And always you have to remember, when you give some advice, that has to be something very practical, realistic, and sensible.
Yeah.
And always try to put the paragraph heading, put the bold or whatever that can, to make it more presentable.
Right.
So those are few things that what we need to know. So today, again, what I want to look at is, I want to look at one or two mocks. Okay? The first one I want to look at is this one. This is a very famous kind of a question we have seen both in the strategic case study and in the management case study, where they will give us a certain working and ask us to comment on the working.
Right.
So here, finance director stops you in the corridor and she tells you the following. Stephen is interested in keen to buy a piece of land to put up an additional studio. The land is adjacent to a plot owned by EAP Films, one of our biggest competitors. He is concerned that if we don't buy the land, then EAP will buy it and use to enlarge the piece of land to build a major studio, which will be the biggest in B land. He views this as a strategic move. So you can see the idea behind the buying of the land. It is something in maybe another part or wherever, but it is adjacent to our main biggest competitor. The idea is to block him buying the land. That's the idea. Right? We don't seem to be having even a kind of a plan. So what we have done is, already we have 6 million, 6 months option to buy the land in October 2016. So what do you mean by option? Either we can exercise or it will lapse.
Yeah.
So by paying a 3 million, what we have basically done is, we have ensured that no other person can buy that land. The first chance is for us. We can buy it, pay the balance amount, or otherwise just forget about it. We have until the mid of April, so we are in February, May, before the option lapses. Nobody else can buy the land before then. It would cost us 25 million more to exercise the option and to buy the land.
Yeah.
I got Cynthia, our intern, to prepare some calculations to justify the acquisition of a land. I hate to say this, but the calculations are based on several incorrect assumptions. I check the arithmetic, it's fine. So that is always the case. You don't need to check the multiplication and the additions. It is there, but you have to check is whether the assumptions are correct, whether the figures are put in the right slot, etc. But I need your draft. I need you to draft a diplomatic note to set out errors that have been made in the logic underlying the intern's calculation. Stephen's proposal creates a tricky problem for us because we do not have anyone in our staff who is willing to be responsible for the development of a site if we buy it. The plot is awkwardly situated and it is not very large, so it would be difficult to do much with it. Now you can see the real motive. By we buying it, we can't do anything with it. It's not large enough to do. But if our competitor buys it, of course, it's adjacent to him and he can do a big studio, right?
Yeah.
It is highly unlikely that EAP will sell any of the adjacent land. If they sell it, it's all right, but very unlikely it is going to happen. Anything that we build as a studio will not have too much of a value, as it will have lot of restrictions such as parking space, and recoverable amount will be less than the carrying value at any time. So here we are brought straight into the IAS 36. The
impairment of assets.
Impairment comes up because the carrying value is less than the recoverable amount. Please draft a response report on errors on the assumptions of the underlying intern's calculation. Please suggest realistic means of motivating Stephen to abandon the proposed acquisition and expansion with suggestions to recover our dreaming. So here we are given kind of a thing. Report on acquisition. So this is what this intern Cynthia has done. Construction costs have been estimated by our consultant surveyors. 20% has been added to the construction cost of professional fees and our own administrative costs in line with our normal budgeting practice. Project to be financed by a bank at 7%. 7% is thus used as the discounting rate. Land clearing cost is estimated at 12 million. A survey has indicated that the land is contaminated. It is not possible to accurately estimate the level of contamination before work commences. Cost and probabilities are below. Since moderate contamination is the most likely outcome, that level of cost has been assumed. Development will take 3 years to complete. It has been assumed our film productions in this studio will generate a net cash flow of 130 million by the end of the 3rd year. Thus, the entire net cash flow is considered at year 3.
Okay.
So we can see the cash flow. In year 3, she has got a inflow of 130 million. Option already incurred 3 million. Land another 25 million. Decontamination, she has gone on the most likely one, 12 million. Then construction, it is going to cost 57, 15 something. Fees and administration costs, she has put something. And net cash flow is figures given at 7% discount. And they say the present value is 10.6 million. So the first part of the question is to look at the assumptions that they have done, what she has done, and whether the figures are, or rather the report is correct. The NPV report is correct. What do you think? What do you think? Anything that you managed to find it out of? You know, looking at that NPV report, what can we say? What can we say? It looks like one of our assistants have prepared the report.
The net cash flow?
Net inflow from films, because they believe they can put up a new studio, and on that it will take 3 years for construction.
3 years to complete.
Yeah, and at the end of 3 years, they are putting up 130 million. Yeah, so that is what the film thing. Look at the assumptions. The assumptions. And the assumptions only most of our problems will be.
No.
Yeah. Now look at very carefully. The first thing, just go and look at the discounting rate they have used. They have used the 7%. 7%.
Yeah.
It is going to be financed by a bank loan at 7%. That's all right. But what we must use for discounting is the cost of capital for the entire company. And that is not the 7%. We must use, because this is only the cost of debt, we must use the cost of equity, because once the project is done, it is for the entire people, entire providers of the finance. Right? So we should not be discounting at 7%. It's wrong to discount it at 7% and to decide whether the figures are all right or not, because what we should be using is always the weighted average cost of capital, and that is always the cost of equity, cost of debt, the mixed component.
Right.
Even though it is going to be financed with bank loan, the idea of the project is to create shareholder value. To create the shareholder value, we have to look at from the shareholder's point of view. That is what we have to look at. Right? So we should be not looking at 7%, we should be looking something more than that. That is number one. Also, we have to consider the risk factor. If there is any risk factor, additional risk factor coming up, then we should be adding the discount rate, or we must make an adjustment to the discount rate for that extra kind of a thing.
Right.
So to that extent, we can see the discounting rate, we have a problem.
Right.
Then also, when you are doing a net present value calculation, always we look at the future cash flows, the incremental cash flows. So here, the option money 3 million already paid is already a sunk cost.
Right.
Okay. It should never come up in a NPV calculation, because it's a sunk cost, right? Because in NPV calculations, we should be only putting up all the incremental ones that is coming up in the future, not what is already there or incurred. It's a sunk cost, and therefore that is also not a right thing to be included.
Yeah.
Right? So that's another one. Then also look at the decontamination. Decontamination, we can see it's sorry, before that, because of the decontamination, we can say it's a very risky project, right? Because we are not very sure about the decontamination, and therefore it's a very risky project. Therefore, the cost of finance should be adjusted to take that additional risk into account.
Right.
And here we can see the decontamination, what she has done is she has taken the probability 50% one, and the cost is 12 million. She has included that one. But that's not the right way. What is the right way to do? Can you remember what is the right way? When you had 2 or 3 probabilities of something happening, what we do? We use the expected value, average value. Can you remember? Right? We must use. So you don't need to calculate. We just have to say that the Cindy has taken the most moderate one, most likely one, but that's not the way for us to do it. We should be looking all the time for the expected value.
Expected value.
Yeah, expected value, and to work through the expected value. That is the way for us to go through. So that's another mistake, I think, in the calculation.
Right.
Then we have brought the 130 million because they say project finance, land clearance cost, construction cost have been estimated, would be financed, not possible to increase the level. The development will take 3 years to complete. It has been assumed our film production will generate net cash inflow of 3 million. So if it is the film, construction is going to take 3 years, then we cannot expect inflow in the third year.
Mm-hmm.
Because after the construction only you can do the films, no? You can't do films before the construction. So it will have to be year, not in year 3, it has to be either year 4 or year 5. The net inflow we should take it up.
Yeah.
So that's another one that we should be looking at. And of course, you can see, although it says arithmetic need not be checked, but when there are obvious arithmetical mistakes, we should look at. 20% has been added to the construction cost of professional fees and our own expenses. But we can see, if you really look at construction cost is 15 million, they have added only 10%, 1.5. 27, they have added only 2.7. So again, you can see there's an obvious error. It's not trying to do too much of advanced calculation, right? If we say 20% has been taken, 20% has not been taken, only 10% has been taken.
Right.
So these are the few things what I saw. So the most important thing out of all these is the discounting rate. Discounting rate should be always the weighted average cost of capital for the company, not the particular specific type of financing, but it must be always adjusted for any additional risk factors. So here we have a risk factor that could be taken up. Then the sunk cost, we should never take it. If the construction is going to take 3 years, we cannot expect the inflow in the third year. Decontamination, you must take the expected value, the average value, not the most likely value.
Right.
There's obvious error of after saying 20%, we have taken only 10%. So that's obvious error.
Right.
So those are the few factors that you probably will want to discuss about the question, about the calculation part. That should be good enough. 5 or 6 lines should be very good enough. So this is a typical question we will find in one of the variants, where they will always give us a kind of a report like this, can ask us to spot the mistakes. So the key mistake.
Okay. Sure.
The second one, suggest realistic or motivating Stephen to abandon the proposed acquisition and expansion with suggestions to recover our 3 million. Now this is, you can see Stephen's motive behind it. Stephen doesn't have a plan, and we can see even if he has a plan, that's not a right plot of a land for us to do any expansion, because it's no additional land there. No one can park a vehicle or whatever it may be. So for us, it's a kind of a useless thing, right? But we know why we have bought this, why we have paid that 3 million and kept it under our option, is to ensure that we block our competitor doing the bigger studio. That's what we have done. So the question is very straightforward. We have to motivate Stephen to abandon the expansion. How can we tell the fellow don't do it? Few things. If your boss was trying to do something like this, how will you try to motivate him to stop doing it?
Maybe telling him the advantages and disadvantages of a particular thing and telling him to not proceed.
One side is to keep on pressing on the disadvantages. Then the other side is to keep on pressing on our what I call constraints, restrictions we have. I was looking on that angle about the money factor. Money factor, I don't think we do have a big problem because we have 98 million in the bank. Right? We have 90 million on the bank. This acquisition is it's going to take only another 25 million.
Hmm.
So that may not be a very 25 million plus another maybe construction, all that. Yeah, there is a fair amount of cost happening. So yes, that also we may be able to place it upon him, because even though we have 19 million, we may be having a lot of work to be done.
Hmm.
So first of all, what we have to look at is the infrastructure available. Can we operate and think of getting 130 million kind of a revenue, kind of a net gain or a net profit through this studio? And also we have to ask, cannot we do those films in our present own studio?
Right.
And you remember in the pre-scene, we have just recently moved into a new premises. We are in a expandable area.
Right.
Understand? Right? So rather than trying to go and block the other man's expansion, why don't we do our own expansion in our own expandable area and become the bigger studio? Isn't it? Right? In the pre-scene, we were very clearly told that we had just moved into a new area where there is expansion. So rather than trying to go and block the other man's expansion, let's spend all our resources and do a major studio in our own area, and thereby make the competitors thing, the EAP Films one, somewhat smaller.
Right.
And also we have to be considering the cash factor, because one of the biggest risks we have in the film financing is the financing. So we must keep all our cash resources for all that kind of a thing, and should be looking at strategically positive net NPV positive investments true enough. And also we must be looking at the infrastructure facilities. So here we have our own complex where we can put up buildings, whatever, and go on with it, and rather than trying to block the other one. This is a typical mentality of some of these business people. Not that they want it, but they want to stop the other people doing the expansion. So we should be really thinking of stopping this kind of a behavior in the company directors. Particularly the CEOs, they have this stubborn attitude. So we, being the financial people, we must try, and it's very difficult to convince them. But now here we have a good cause to convince them. Say, we have moved into our own expansion. Why don't we spend this money and put up a bigger studio than the other people? Because the expansion, but we are thinking by going into that area, we are not going to put a bigger studio. We are only going to put up a small studio, which is a very congested thing, and only we are going to block the other fellows putting up their bigger studio.
Right.
So that you can talk. You can talk about the finances. Always in the finance, in the film industry, finance is a constant, and therefore we must be very careful with all our financing.
Okay.
Right. So that is something which we should be wanting to tell. Anything else you want to tell? So we'll talk about the disadvantages, as you rightly said, about the parking facilities, because the film industry needs the adequate infrastructure facilities for parking, etc. Because most of the people who come for the film, to do the production, etc., will have to park their vehicles for many number of days sometimes, and you need the parking facilities, etc.
Right. Yeah.
Anything else what you can think to block or to tell this man to persevere this? It's a way of motivating him to abandon the proposed project. One of the things he is going to counter and tell you, Veena, we have already paid 3 million. What's going to happen to the 3 million?
Okay, so suggest to recover 3 million.
3 million is a lot of money. We can't just allow it to go also. So that's something that they are going to take it, because I remember I was working in a company. We are paid advance and I was blocking the whole project, and all the directors were angry with me. But some fellows were asking me all the time, what are you going to do with the money that you have already paid? 10 million and something like that. So what is your solution for that one? What is your solution for that one to recover this 3 million? Because by April, either we have to buy the land or we have to forget the 3 million. Think very, imagine your neighbor is neighbor is you have bought a property next to your competitor or whoever, and now you have paid 3 million. What can we do? How to recover the 3 million?
Can we sell that to the competitor?
Yeah, that's it. Yes.
Yeah.
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 Because he will be
Okay.
for him, it's more than 3 million.
Yeah.
Because for the usefulness of the project is for him. The land is for him.
Yeah.
Right? So why don't we negotiate with the EAP and sell that and recover much more than 3 million, because he's going to pay more than 3 million.
Yeah.
He would have been waiting to buy this property, something that, our Stephen went and bought the property. So sell the thing, but parallelly look at the program, a plan for us to do a better, bigger project than our competitor, so that still we will have the biggest the studio by expansion in our own territory. Rather than trying to go and block another man's expansion, let him also go strategically. That will be a better fit.
Yeah.
Because when we expand, after he's spending all the money, he's thinking of putting up the biggest one. He may not be fulfilling his dream because we have done a bigger one.
Right.
So that way we can surely motivate his people to do that kind of a thing.
Right.
So this is what I would have thought as a kind of a plan to back this proposal to motivate him to abandon the project.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I want to do with that one. Right. So another one I put in acquisition is on something. This is about acquisition, about another one. So let's look at this one now. This is slightly different from the land one. Here we are the land one. Why we blocked was it was strategically not really a good thing for us. We were only trying to block another person from expansion, but we must try and see, let him expand, but let us expand much more, kind of a thing. Here, you remember Eugene Banerjee is one of the executive directors. You meet him in his office, and I have some exciting news to share with you. As you know, last 12 months or so, we were considering to change our strategy and to move into television production, especially focusing on reality production. So for the moment, we are always in the film industry, but we see this TV industry growing up, and very particularly the reality productions. Reality productions are all these, you don't need actors and actresses and all that. They are these quiz programs and all that. You do it, and you can sell those products to the TV station, and you can make big money. So at our board meeting, this was discussed in length, and I was asked to explore some opportunities, the speech program, singing contest, all that kind of a thing. It's a easy way to get money because you don't need big actors and actresses. You just hire a studio, have a quiz competition, have a couple of judges. The fun of people getting rejected, they scold in, all that, they record it on the this thing, and they put it up and they sell it to another TV company who will broadcast it. And those programs are very, very catchy. and the TV companies broadcast, they air those things in in prime time, and the people watch and they make money through the advertising. That is what happened. Right? So this is the current style of also TV watching also. It's much more cheaper even than television drama productions. This is the way to go forward. Well, I'm delighted to say I have found a possible company to acquire, which is a small-time reality TV producer. This company called Hiru, and they produce reality programs to our neighboring country, Sealand. Right? I will send an email right now about the company I'm looking at. Denny, I would appreciate your help. Sorry, looking at. I would appreciate your help. When you get back to your desk, please read the email and then write me a briefing paper for the board meeting that covers the main benefits of maintenance of the proposal to acquire Hiru as a way to expand into television reality market. Your briefing should be also identify the risk of this proposal, how we might deal with it. So your briefing paper should cover the main benefits and also the risk we might deal with them. The risk and how we will deal with them. So here is the email. As I just discussed in my office, here is the overview of Hiru that I have identified the possibility for us to acquire. It's a reality TV production company in our country called Beeland and called Hiru, which produces reality shows exclusively for our neighboring Sealand, and their productions are very popular there. It's a family-run, unlisted company which currently produces free reality programs to national TV in Qland, and as per the CEO of Hiru, 2 more contracts are on the way for them to sign. Hiru directors believe that they are capacity to double the programs that they sell to Qland, national TV station QTV, provided the quality of production is improved a little. Hiru is located from our Mentin studios at a distance of 150 kilometers. If we were to acquire, we would be able to supply the entire requirements of QTV needs, and we will be diversifying into TV industry, which is rising in popularity. All of Hiru productions will be rebranded as Mentin if we acquire this company. Thanks for your help, as I do appreciate that you are really busy.
Right.
Here, we are just thinking of moving into a completely new area, which is related to our entertainment industry. We are in the film industry. We want to move into the TV industry. And not only we are moving into the TV industry, by acquiring this company, we are moving into a country called Sealand.
Right.
So we are moving into a new market and a new product.
Diversification.
Yeah, diversification, the ends of matrix, the new market, new product. Right?
Yeah.
So that is what is going to happen. And also, what you can see is, it's an unlisted company. And if you buy this company, they have right at the moment their programs are very popular in Sealand, and there's capacity to double up with our involvement, and also it's very popular there. And also what we can see is if we can move into that area, if we can move into that area, we will rebrand all the Hiru productions with our name Mentin.
Mentin. Okay.
So first of all, let's discuss the benefits of moving. That's number one. There are 3 tasks here. One, the benefits. Second one, the risk, and how to overcome the risk.
Okay.
Yeah. First of all, can we think of some of the benefits?
Benefits is that we'll be able to move into the new market.
Yeah.
Okay, and
because we are right at the moment dependent on the film industry. TV industry is a growing industry. It's a way to grow much more faster to the acquisition into another new territory with a new product.
Yes.
That's one of the number one benefits. Yes. We move into a new product, we move into a new market, which is growing in popularity. Already the products are, the productions are popular in that country. And also, yeah.
Yeah. Hero is the company which is more like what kind of company is Hero?
They are producing, we are producing films to the cinemas. They are producing
right.
TV productions,
Yeah.
the TV station, and they have already
So I have an idea
with the QTV in the Sealand.
Yeah. So I have an idea.
Okay.
We can also get them franchisee of our popular films, and they can break it into episodes, and we can generate revenue by that.
That can be done. That can be done because we are going to have access to a TV market.
Yeah.
You remember because in the film industry, what they do is they sell their films later on to the TVs. Right? The satellite TVs and all that. So it's a good idea.
Right.
It's a good idea. It's a brilliant idea. We can get our film shown in this Sealand or Sealand on the TV channels.
Right.
Yeah. Good.
No, I just meant that we can make a series like Game of Thrones. So they have like episodes of a particular movie franchise, and so they can get the revenue by that.
Yeah, sure. That can happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And
that is other way. One thing is the growth will be much more faster.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we have to go through the organic growth. Here we have a straight away a kind of a growth which we can achieve straight away, go into the new market with a new product. Our dependence on one source of revenue will not be there any longer.
Right. And also, I can think of something like if we go to a new market, we normally need a representative so that we can know about the market and everything.
Yeah.
But here in this case, we would not need that because we already have a company, Hero, which is into that market.
Yeah.
So the risk eliminates there.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So it's a big advantage because their programs are very popular. We only because we only become the owners of the company, and we can just go on producing and do it. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So those are the possible benefits you can think of.
Okay.
And also this, of course, that you need to know a little bit. The reality production are less costly. It's not like the films. So you may be able to, with very little investment, we should be able to generate revenue. Films, you remember, it's a huge investment. Because you have to pay the actors and all the people, and it has to be of high quality, the scenarios, all that. Here it's basically you hire a studio, advertise couple of people on saying that we are going to have the singing contest. Many people will come participate. You only have a couple of judges, and the program goes live. The fun is to see that some people winning, some people losing, and also this telephone voting, all that kind of a thing. So the cost of production is very low. Little cash investment comparatively.
Right.
Film industry is a huge capital intensive industry.
Industry. Yeah.
So that's another factor you can take it up.
Okay. Right.
So those are some other things, and of course, obviously, additional profits. Additional profits to our shareholders, and thereby creating more shareholder wealth. So these are some of my benefits which I thought. Okay, let's talk about a little bit about the risk.
Um,
What are the risks that we have?
What I can think of is acquiring an unlisted company.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know on what basis it would be acquired.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
it's a famous company, obviously having good say in the market.
Yeah.
They might have an upper hand on the negotiations.
Yeah.
Regarding the regarding the acquisition.
Yeah.
So we might land up paying more.
Yeah. Yeah, because the valuation of the business will be a very difficult one when it is an unlisted company.
Mm-hmm.
It all will depend on the perceptions of the seller, hero, and the buyer maintain how much we are interested in buying, how much they are interested in selling. Right? So the valuation, because if it's a listed company, it's much more easy. You just have to pay the market price plus a premium. But here, the valuation could be a very, very difficult task because their perceptions may be different from our perceptions. And finally, as you rightly said, we might end up paying more.
Right. Okay.
Exactly. You're right. Yes.
Going into new market is always a risk.
Yeah.
Like we obviously we will do everything best we can do, but then it's still risky.
Yeah. Because it's an area where we have no experience at all.
Yeah.
None of our people have any experience at all. If our board also, we don't have anyone in the TV sector. So it's a kind of a risk that we are taking, moving into a totally a new market, a totally a new product where we have no experience whatsoever.
Yeah.
And we have to depend on the skills and knowledge and experience of Hiru people. Yeah, very good. Exactly. Good.
Okay, and the thing I can think of it is the profit we earn by movie by making by making a film wouldn't be that much by making a TV production, because if we obviously paying less, the returns would be less as well. It would not be as huge as making a film.
Yeah, only difference will be maybe one film, but you will have 10 reality programs. The effort what you put for one film, you may be putting for 10 reality programs, and ultimately you might find the returns even much more bigger in the reality than the film. And it's if you have the knowledge, it will be less risky, because the film means after you have spent 500 million and you are not sure whether it will be successful or not. Reality program, you are not going to spend 500 million, you are going to spend 10 million, 15 million. And the risk of a loss also may be very little. That may be an advantage, but we can talk of.
Okay, so that's an advantage.
Yeah, that's an advantage we can talk of, yes.
Okay.
What are the other risks that we have? One risk what we are going to look at is the two cultures of the organization. We are a listed company. Right? We are a listed company, surely under corporate governance principles, etc. With lot of disclosure requirements to the stock exchange.
Right.
This is an unlisted company. They may not have any corporate governance, and therefore to bring these two companies into the merger, because we are coming from two different cultures, to bring them into our family could be a very, very difficult and a risky process. Right. That can always happen. And also, being an unlisted company, we are not very sure whether because being a listed company, our disclosures are much more transparent, but being an unlisted company, there is no requirement for strong disclosures. So there may be certain, the financial statements, there may be errors, misrepresentations, etc., which we may not find now, we may find it later. That is always a question with an unlisted company.
Right.
They are not being regulated.
Hmm.
They are not being regulated. Also financing.
Okay.
Also financing, isn't it? Right? We have to find money.
Yeah.
We have to find money to buy this company. So we have to look at our, this is going to be a fairly a big one. So we have to look at our finances.
Hmm.
Already we have 1,200 million equity, and loans also we have 350 and 620, 970. So fairly geared up even at the moment.
Yeah.
Taking both the loans and film obligation and production loans. We seem to be fairly geared up and finding money, because in the film industry we need to find money, and for acquisition like this we need to find money. So raising money may be a bit of a risky one.
Yeah.
So that's another one. Then other one is, trying to change the branding from Hero to Menti. Now if you really look at,
Okay.
from the other side of the story is in that country, what is popular is Hero and not Menti. The moment you change the brand, people might not want to see your things, because the people are more used to see the Hero things, not the Maintain ones. Maintain is a relatively a newcomer.
Yeah. Yeah.
That can be another cause of a concern.
Disadvantage.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
a risk. It's a risk. Change in the name, because the other country people will not know anything about Maintain. Maintain may be in the B-land, the biggest studio, but C-land, they only know Hero. So these are some of the risks which we can think. Now we have to think how to overcome some of these risks, what we mentioned earlier, right? So you went on listing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 number of risks. How to overcome all those risks? So let's look at some of the risks that what we worked out. Start with the last one. I mean, just for our purposes. How will you overcome this risk of name change? Risk of name change. If we believe it's a risk, how can we suggest what is the way to overcome? What can we do? What can we do? How can we, imagine your boss wants to, go to another country and immediately put your company's name there. What will you advise? What will you advise?
No, I can't get that.
Their name is so popular. So why do you want to take a popular name out and put your name straight away, isn't it?
Right.
So what?
Yeah.
What can we do?
We might not change the name.
We
might not change the name.
We might not change the name immediately. We might not change, we should not change the name immediately. Let us go into the market, build our reputation, gradually bring 1, 2, 3 productions under Maintain, make those popular, and then through a gradual process change from Hero to Maintain.
Yeah, okay.
That's the way to go forward. Now this is what we call our leadership skills. Right? Basically, you don't want to go and make all the changes straight away. Just go with the changes slowly, gradually.
Yeah.
That's the way for us to go forward. What about the cultural risk that we have? The cultural risk we have, because we are a listed company, they are an unlisted company. What can we do?
They are not regulated. We are regulated. No, I can't think of anything.
Hmm? Basically what we have now, we have just got the two culture. So the way forward is, if you get when the two cultures are different, what you must do is you must bring a kind of an induction program. Once they are all right, bring a
Hmm.
induction program to take our culture into that company.
Hmm.
We are a company with a strong culture, and therefore we
Hmm.
must take our cultures to an induction program. Induct all their people.
Right.
Right? That is what we should be looking all the time. A kind of a
Induction program.
induction program. Whenever we have two cultures, we have to get them to our side through a induction program. So we might send some of our people there because we are not that far away,
Hmm.
150 kilometers away. That's the way for us to go forward.
Right. Yeah.
That's another thing that you can probably think of.
Hmm.
Then
Okay.
what else is the risk that we came across?
Financing.
Financing, yes.
Financing to
Yeah.
buy.
We have to carefully look at our finances, prepare a financial forecast for next 1 to 3 years and see what are our
Hmm.
requirements, see the possibility of going for a rights issue or something like that to raise money before we embark on a project like this.
Hmm. But Kumar, being an unlisted company, it
Yeah.
might be a possibility that the amount of acquisition would not be that much, and getting a rights issue done for something like this,
Yeah.
is it fair? Is it fine? Like to acquire an unlisted company
Yeah, because it's going to
via
be
rights issue,
a long-term investment.
right?
Long-term investments must be matched with long-term funds.
Okay.
And to that extent, we must either go for a equity, go for this kind of funding, or we must go for long-term bonds or loans or something like that. Because it's a
Yeah. So
long-term. Mhm.
something like convertible bonds should be fine as well. Yeah.
Yeah, should be.
Okay.
Could
Okay.
be.
Right.
Could be. You can go for convertible and later on convert it into shares. That is right. That is ideal. Can be done.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then you said about the
Uh,
valuation, we might have a problem. So
mm-hmm.
we one thing is we are not sure about the financial statements. So this is where we do something called, you remember I told you something called a due diligence.
Hmm.
Due
Yeah.
diligence. You might want to get a third party to a complete independent investigation into their financial statements, etc.
Yeah.
That way we will, not see later on after taking over company some big liability flaring up or something like that. So you might want to get a good due diligence done on particularly on an unlisted company when we are buying.
Yeah. Okay.
So these are, then of course as far as the valuation is concerned, it's good to appoint a third party, a consultant, a good
Hmm.
audit firm or some people with the knowledge so that there can be a kind of a reasonable kind of a negotiation price being agreed.
Hmm. Okay.
These are some of the things that uh, I have been thinking about.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's good. I think we are basically, so again, my advice is just keep reading the pre-scene for next 12 hours or so,
Hmm.
and then try to work mostly on the common sense approach. Put up the
Hmm.
theories, whatever you can come to mind thinking, but try to be very,
Hmm.
very common sense oriented, not to go too much into a kind of a stressed situation. Just think very simply, if I was in this position, what I will do. Forget it for the
Okay.
exam for the moment. Just look at like that. I
So,
think you should be all right. I think you have the knowledge, the capacity. It's basically on the day of the exam, the luck that what you need. So let's hope that it will be there for you.
yeah. I hope so as well.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Friday
Kumar, any
morning,
reviews about the exam?
pardon?
Any reviews
No,
that you
no,
have
no,
heard from
no,
the
no,
from
no. Because
like
now what happens is now they don't, because last time some of the students put something on the mail or whatever, and they found, and then they did not give their results. So now they are very strict about it.
no,
Hmm.
just in general scenario, like was the exam good or nothing about the content of the
Nothing,
exam? I know
nothing,
it's against the
nothing, nothing.
ethics. Yeah.
So far, no feedback on the exam.
Okay.
And generally,
Right.
always
Okay.
the feedback is the exam was tough than what we expected. That's the feedback we always get. But so far, nothing has come like that also, because I think they were very strict this time on exchange of mails, etc. So far,
Hmm.
nothing at all. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Chances has
I
put up.
hope everything goes good.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Just be relaxed and try to do your best and see what
Yeah.
the balance is going to be.
Mm. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thanks a lot, Veena. Uh,
Thank you
anyway,
so very much, Kumar, for your
yeah,
help.
sure. Yeah, definitely we'll be there with you. So, what time is the exam on Friday?
It's at 12.
12. Right. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
So, surely we will
Yeah.
keep praying for you, and let's hope good things will come out of it.
Yeah. Hope I pass this exam and then
Yeah.
get for strategic level to you
Yeah,
only.
definitely. Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah, definitely. Surely. Yes. Let's hope for the best. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Veena.
All right. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Kumar.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Take
Bye.
care. Bye
Bye.
bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye.